biggest reason you are losing hours at work isn't laziness, it's distraction. In fact, research shows us that it can take up to 30 minutes to refocus after a single small interruption. That means every email ping, message notification, or quick scroll doesn't just steal seconds, it silently drains huge chunks of your day. And so without laser focus, you will probably always feel busy, but never really accomplished. But when you can actually learn to focus, you will most likely be able to get more done in a few deep concentrated hours than most people can get done in an entire day. And as a lawyer, having worked at a big international firm, I had to master this under constant pressure, where focus could literally be all the difference between leaving work at like 6 p.m. or leaving at midnight or even later. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you the systems that have helped me stay focused even in the most distraction-heavy environments. All right, so the first thing to do is to plan your day. And whether you prefer doing this like the night before or the morning of, genuinely, just spending like 10 minutes planning your day can really set the tone for the day ahead. And for me, what I like to do is to really try and think about what are my 3 key priorities for the day at hand. And then within that, I also try and think about any specific actions that I need to do to ultimately accomplish those priorities. And I think planning your day, it's almost like laying train tracks. I think once they're in place, your focus will just naturally follow the route that you've set instead of veering off course. And I really can't underestimate how important this is. And it really does just help you to exactly identify what your priorities are for the day. And it does, as I say, give you that sense of direction. And it also avoids you getting to like transition periods between tasks and not knowing what to do, because it just eliminates all of that decision fatigue because you've already identified what it is exactly that you want to be doing. Number 2 is Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law is the concept that essentially says that work will expand to fill the time that you give it. In other words, if you give yourself like 20 hours to do a task that in reality probably could only take like 10 hours to do, you will most likely, in fact, take the 20 hours to do that task. And I've really seen this so many times, like within my own working career, like as a lawyer. Like, say if I've got some like long contract that I need to review, but don't really have any deadline, and say like I've got a whole week to do it, I'm probably gonna procrastinate a little bit with it or just not be as efficient as I could be. And it probably will take me that whole like week to review the contract. Where if I had a partner like saying this is really urgent and it needs to be done within 24 hours, I would almost certainly be able to get through it in that 24-hour period, and the review would probably be as good as if I had the whole week to do it. And so the takeaway, I think, is that when you are thinking about tasks, do set yourself a deadline, and most likely set a deadline for yourself that is much shorter than you originally think, because that constraint will actually, I think, create clarity for you, and then that clarity that you'll get will actually enable even more speed for you to do the task at hand. Number 3 is to look after yourself. And I think for me, I used to think so much that like doing more and just being productive was all about just needing to have all of these systems in place and then having like the discipline and the willpower to implement those systems and do the things that you said you were going to do. But truthfully, like so often my focus problems is really actually like energy problems. And I think a lot of the time when I don't have enough energy is really when I'm not looking after myself how I should be, and I'm not prioritizing all the healthy habits that I know help me feel my best. And I mean, if you think about it, you're not really gonna be able to focus if your brain is dehydrated, underslept, or underfueled. And so for me, what I like to do now is almost think of focus like a supercar. It doesn't matter how skilled the driver is if there's no fuel within the car. And so really do just prioritize all the things that you probably already know about, like exercising, sleeping regularly, eating healthily, hydrating, and trying to minimize stress as much as possible. Number 4 is activating Greyscale mode on my phone. And I think our phones, they're almost like slot machines. It's like every swipe is like a little pull of the lever, because you don't know if when you go on your phone, you're maybe actually going to do something that's worth doing or productive, or if you're just gonna be doom scrolling for hours watching videos of monkeys or something ridiculous like that. And I know for me, my phone can definitely be a massive distraction. And so the one thing that I really always like to do when I'm trying to focus and do some deep work is I activate Greyscale mode on my phone, which basically just turns my phone black and white and it removes all those dopamine triggering colors. And more so, what it really does is that once I've activated this, if I am working and then I try to go on my phone, it just acts as like a reminder that it's not a time for me to actually want to go on my phone. And I mean, it makes the phone really just not enticing to go on. And so if I see it, I'm not as inclined to actually want to scroll, but it is just more that trigger that reminds me that no, this is not a time that I want to be on my phone, and it allows me to just more easily put the phone away and then refocus on the task at hand. Number 5 is to capture ideas. And this is about how like random thoughts and to-dos, they always just like pop into our head throughout the day. But every time you actually go after and chase one of these things, you are really breaking your concentration from the thing at hand. And if you do, it's probably going to take you a long time to refocus on what you should be doing. Where this concept of capturing things, I think it came from the famous author David Allen, who basically said that your brain is for having ideas, it's not for holding them. And so what the idea is here is that every time something does just pop into your head, what you should do is just write it down in some sort of to-do list, some sort of organized area that you can go back to. And what this does is it will keep all of your ideas and to-dos nicely organized, and you can come back to them at the appropriate time. And it will also prevent you from doing all that task switching and multitasking, and it will allow you to actually stay focused and be more efficient on the tasks that you should be doing. And according to a Harvard Business Review, employees lose around 22 to 28% of their working day to distractions. And the biggest distraction is just this task switching. And I think like for me, the biggest thing that does make me task switch is kind of just like this almost like monkey brain that I have, where just things are just like popping into my head. I like have a reminder of like something that I should do, or like some random thing that I wanted to research, and suddenly I'm off like Googling something completely random and not doing what I want to do. But instead, by just having this capture mindset and philosophy, it helps me to capture these things and come back to them when I've got more time and at an appropriate time. And more importantly, it helps me stay actually focused and be more efficient in the task that I said I should be doing. So there are my top tips to really stay laser focused and get way more done in shorter periods of time. I hope you found at least one of those things interesting. Thanks very much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.